What is up, guys, and welcome to yet another video, and this time it's not gonna be a podcast. Man, I've missed making these. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First off, I'd like to remind you guys of some podcasts that me and DPHD got going at the moment. The last podcast we made was here on my channel, and if you missed that, I'll leave a link somewhere on screen now so you can check it out. Now, during that podcast, we talked about Ousmane Dembélé and Philippe Coutinho and what roles they could play in the team going forward. And that's something I want to bring up today as well, because they can be very vital for us if we use them right, and they can be vital for us especially in the UEFA Champions League this season. Now, as for Dembélé, he's clearly growing and he's getting more and more into the team, and Valverde seems more willing to give him chances now than he did earlier at the season. And in return, he's scoring very important goals for us, and I think that if we use him right and can keep his confidence up, I think we'll definitely be needing him against Lyon. He has that burst of pace, a great dribbling ability, and he's good at anticipating where to be at what time. And as for Coutinho, it's seriously sad to see what's going on with him right now. Now, in the Champions League this season, we've won 4 out of our last 6 games, and our 2 draws came against our only 2 tough opponents, being Inter and Spurs. Both games ended 1-1, and that's what really scares me. Now, we're facing Lyon in our 2 next Champions League games. The first one is on February 18th, and even though we still have a lot of time to go, I'm just scared that Coutinho's form will keep taking the dips that it is taking. He's not been integrated to our Barcelona side just yet, and even though he has shown glimpses of it, he's yet to be fully integrated. Lyon's midfield and attack can be really lethal, and yes, they lost Alexandre Lacazette to Arsenal in the summer, but they have Nabil Fekir, who even though he is suspended for the first game, will definitely be back for the second. They also have Memphis Depay, who's been really good lately. They've got Bertrand Traoré and Moussa Dembélé, and even though those names might not seem like the most intimidating ones, that team is actually challenging for top 2 in Ligue 1. I'm not saying that Barcelona can't beat them, I'm just saying we shouldn't underestimate them, because last time we underestimated a weak opponent, this happened. Back in Roma, Valverde just didn't use his subs right, and even though the team massively underperformed, I do think he's improved a lot since then. He's using his substitutions, he's actually using them for one, and he's also using them wisely. Even though he does have some flaws in who he puts in, he's at least substituting. But on a real note, he really needs to get rid of his pact with Ivan Rakitic. Look, I love Rakitic, and before I get labeled as a hater for the 113th time, I respect him and I respect what he's done for the club. But it's time for him to go. It just is. I'm not annoyed at him, I'm annoyed at the status that he has at the club. You can take the Celta game as the prime example. Vidal was by far our best player on the pitch, but he gets subbed off for Arthur. I'm really happy Arthur is getting playing time, but if you take off the best player to keep on Rakitic, that's just suicide. And then, as if that wasn't enough, he took off Busquets and put on Carlos Alenya. And yes, it's really good that he's playing Alenya. We've seen him play Munir as well. He's playing Arthur. He's actually trusting the youth slowly. But Rakitic played 90 minutes. We don't need Rakitic playing 90 minutes, especially now game after game after game where he could be rested. Because it will get to a point where he's just way too tired to be playing. He's almost 31 years old. He's playing him as if he's Messi. There have been games where he's rested Messi and not rested Rakitic. And that's my problem. We have Arturo, who offers just as much as Rakitic on the pitch, and quite frankly, he gives us more technically. Look, yes, Rakitic runs up and down the field a lot, he's a workhorse, and I appreciate that. But we don't benefit from him as much as we do from Vidal. We need Arthur because he brings us balance, and Busquets is, well, he's Busquets. In a team where we struggle defensively at times, Busquets is that reassurance. And yes, sometimes he doesn't have great games, but then again, when you're talking about a player who kept a consistent level for so many years, and yes, he might have taken a dip the past year or two, but he still has that quality that we just cannot afford to lose. If Valverde really wants to rotate the midfield, you can also throw Coutinho in the mix. If you ask me, the most balanced and the most quality midfield we can have is Busquets, Vidal, and Arthur. And as for Coutinho, yes, he's not a central midfielder, but he's better in there for us than he is on the wing. It's gotten to a point now where Dembélé is actually playing better than him on the wing, and that just leaves Coutinho on the bench. There's no reason to have Coutinho competing with Dembélé and Malcom when he returns from injury. Coutinho should get more chances in midfield, and I'm sure he'll be back to his usual best. I don't doubt his quality at all. But we didn't pay 160 millions for him just to rot on the bench. What we're seeing with Coutinho now could hurt us in the long run and could hurt his career, so Valverde really needs to fix that issue. He definitely can. Valverde is a good manager. He just needs to stop playing Rakitic as often as he is. It's blocking Arthur from getting regular game time. But if we really want to get the most out of our midfield, the most out of Carlos Alenia, the most out of Ricky Puig when he gets promoted, and the most out of players like Coutinho, we need to take those risks in midfield. And even if it means benching Rakitic, that's what we have to do. And about Malcom, I was actually going to talk about this in the last podcast, but I forgot to do so, and I'm just going to go over it really quick. I love that guy. I love his determination. I love his fighter instinct. He's a good dribbler. He's a really good finisher. He works hard for his spot. He worked hard to be where he is today, and I really hope that Valverde will give him playing time when he's back. He just started to pick up form right before he got injured, and he just needs that consistency going. And when we gave that consistency to Dembélé, we all saw what happened. He lit up the Camp Nou, and we just need to do that with Malcom as well. I genuinely think that if Valverde can improve his man management, we can definitely win the Champions League this season. We can definitely win the Copa del Rey. We just need to play the right players and play football that's actually good. When you're Barcelona, you don't sit back and defend against teams like Leganés or Eibar. That's when you move forward. You're Barcelona. This squad is the best squad we've had since we won the Champions League in 2015. If we can't win the Champions League with this, I don't know what to say. Now, enough about that, and now onto a special segment that I'll look to include in all of my future videos. And I'd really like to get you guys involved on this because I see a lot of you guys' support. I really appreciate it. I see it on Twitter, on YouTube, in the comments. And I want you guys to get involved. So I asked you guys to tweet me some questions on Twitter. And now I'll just go in rounds and reply some of them. If you'd like to be involved in upcoming videos, make sure to keep an eye out for my tweets because I will explain how I'm going to do it. I might use a hashtag just to make it easier. I'll see what I'll do. Just keep an eye out for it. And hopefully you guys can get involved too. Now on to Arc with a really long ad. First question, should we sign Rabiot or not? Here's the thing with Rabiot. I like him as a player. I think he's good technically, and he's a good player overall. His attitude could cause his downfall, but I think if we get De Jong, I don't see a reason to get Rabiot unless Dennis and Rafinha leave. But if we can get Rabiot for free, assuming those two leave, I wouldn't mind it, but I don't want him getting in the way of Carlos Alenia or Ricky Puig or even Oriol Busquets. I know Busquets is a defensive midfielder, but if we get De Jong as well, that kind of limits his place already. So the short answer, if we sell Dennis and if we sell Rafinha and get De Jong, if we get him for free, I wouldn't mind, but if we already have those players, I don't think we should sign him. Now, on to the second person, Fares Hiasat. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. First of all, who do you think should replace Valverde? For me, ideally, Quique Setién from Real Betis, because the football they're playing is just, that's the kind of football that you want to see Barca play. Possession-based, quick passing, accurate passing, and just really good football overall. They're good. They have good build-up. They're solid defensively, and they beat us. Yeah, Setién. For me, Setién. If we can't get him, we could go for Roberto De Zerbi from Sassuolo, even though I think it's a little bit too early. Second of all, what signings do you think we need in January? We already have Jason Murillo to cover the center back positions. If anything, I'd say maybe get a backup striker on loan. But other than that, I don't really see a reason to get more players because we're already pretty stacked as it is. Now, the last question by Demboobs. Do you think Valverde stuck with the triple pivot of Busquets, Vidal, and Rakitic to stop us leaking so many goals? Yeah. You know, I could see him doing that because it's a rather defensive midfield, even though Vidal is a box-to-box midfielder. Rakitic is a box-to-box midfielder, but he is sort of more defensive. I could see that being the case. I'm just against Vidal being subbed off before Rakitic, that's all. And on that note, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and that you're also enjoying the podcast I'm putting out. I'll be alternating the content, so I've got a few videos lined up. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe and turn on bell notifications to get a notification whenever I upload. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, and your support, as you know, really means a lot to me. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. A link will be down in the description below. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.